So good morning, everyone. My name is Ian De Silva. I am the Chief Operating Officer at the Ontario PSW Association and the Canadian Support Workers Association. Thank you for joining me this morning. This morning is going to be a presentation, which is part of a series of presentations of introducing our new e-verification system to the PSW recruitment community, employers, and the entire province of Ontario going forward. So the presentation shouldn't take too long. We'll have questions at the end, as it says in the chat, and we'll absolutely make sure we'll do our best to answer every and all questions as they come up. So again, good morning. The title of this presentation is The Future of PSW Recruitment, and more specifically, the focus is on de-risking liability in human health resources, and health human resources, rather. This is a Canadian-made solution, which we're very much promoting under the new current climate, which we're very much encouraging partners to join this new environment. So currently, the recruitment landscape in Ontario and Canada has largely not changed in the last 2 decades. Health human resource recruiters continue to remain reliant on paper documentation and affidavits in order to protect their own processes. However, paper documentation, as we all know now, it can be very easily faked. If you look to the pictures to your, on your right, forgive me, you'll see that this is an example of the number of different credentials that an employer sometimes needs to have on record to track to ensure that the employee is compliant with regulatory structures within that specific facility. And many of these can be faked with great ease. And as such, health human resources are left to their own devices and gut instincts to determine the eligibility of a personal support worker specifically. So this is amplified. This problem is amplified, of course, by the number of websites that are offering fake credentials. A recent analysis that we conducted just using Google with basic search terms, joke certificates, diploma for fun. The pictures that surround this are all the different companies that can offer what they consider novelty diplomas, novelty credentials, etc. These are things that that are marketed to the public as, for example, party favors or promotional events. However, the sophistication of these documentations has become such that it is becoming virtually impossible for a health human resource person at the front line to be able to accurately determine whether the document that they're seeing is authentic or not. And it becomes compounded when you're dealing with personal support workers and the number of different institutions that offer the program. So just if you can have a look at here, you can see that there's quite a number. The sophistication of these sites and their capacities are enormous. So we really want to make health human resources professionals really pay attention to where they're getting the certifications from. How are they vetting these certifications? Is it sufficient? And is there a better way to do this? Is there a more accurate way to do this? So if we go to the next slide. As a result, we're seeing fraud and misrepresentation is on the rise as a result of the inability, and this is not a comment on health human resources. I started my career as a health human resource individual, and yes, it is extremely challenging it was challenging 20 years ago to make sure you had fake and correct, or to validate authentic versus inauthentic documentation. And currently we're seeing about, as we all know, 85% of all job applicants misrepresent themselves. This is a known statistic. So I think everyone is aware that resumes tend to be embellished. That is an accepted part of business, although we have to integrate that into our assessments of those resumes, of course. The more shocking one is the two on the other side. 27% of all candidates lie about their professional credentials. This is becoming increasingly easy for persons to do. They can easily have documentations forged and presented as authentic. Even more striking, 20 to 30% invent a degree. So the OPSWA itself and the Canadian Support Workers has seen a large increase in the number of fake certifications, educational documents, you name it, transcripts, diplomas, degrees, PhDs. They can be invented on whim. They can be purchased for a few $100s online without really anything. And furthermore, which is a real issue for healthcare, is job seekers fail to disclose incidents from their past, which means that we accept the value of a PSW that says I have no criminal record and I'm going to sign an affidavit. Sometimes the PSWs are asked to do a vulnerable sector search, but again, they're not as comprehensive as a criminal reference check. So as we can see, fraud and misrepresentation remains on the rise. Some of this, the impacts of the price of credentialing fraud is substantial and has a very, very real impact on the people that we as a community serve. If you look at some of the headlines that we pulled of late, you can see that the range of abuses that can come from those who fake their certificates is pretty wide ranging. There's a lot of things with regards to diplomas. You can see here in the Americans, it does have an impact there a lot. These are all actually mostly from America, some of these, and these are from Canada, but we're seeing that this is an issue that transcends national borders and international borders. So we really want to make Health Human Resources aware that there are alternatives and that we're introducing a new standard to start to bring in some of these practices. The real concern is that how does fraud and the misuse of credentials impact your existing organization? Easy. It's loss of revenue. As you're basically, if you're employing fake people, it's going to cost them more to train. You're going to have more accidents on site. That's going to increase your revenue operating costs. It's going to increase your overhead. It's going to increase everything. We see this regularly with PSWs that have been hired under the auspices that they have that professional certification. And once they're in that profession or in that frontline work, they're not able to perform and they cause more damage than they're there to help. That happens not just in PSW world, but across any sector that has exposure to this. The real issue as a result becomes companies that continue to ignore these practices and continue to rely on these methods, which currently remain dominant. It's going to start impacting the brand reputation. So what that means is if the company cannot demonstrate to the public that they can provide adequate care, and they're seeing these things and they're seeing evidence of this in the media, and they're seeing evidence of this through their own word of mouth in their own communities, this has a long-lasting impact on reputation, brand, and credibility. So one accident does impact the entire brand, and it is one of the risks that all branded companies that operate in this sector must be going forward, must be extremely aware of. And as a result, it will impact and start impacting legal issues for the company and the employer if they haven't done proper vetting. And if their own vetting processes are not able to demonstrate that they are able to protect those under their care. So that is what the major point of this presentation. And of course, at the very end of the day, this is a harm to the public. These are the individuals that rely on these on all of us to provide them with a safe, adequate environment from which to live in, and that is where the damage comes from. So who are we? So Credivera is the company that we are partnered with. They are stationed and headquartered in Calgary, Alberta, Edmonton, Alberta. They're preferred Microsoft preferred solution provider in the secure in exchange of verifiable credentials and digital identity solutions. So what Credivera, wonderful, thanks, thank you. So verifiable credentials is the W3C standard for secure and private data exchange. What essentially that we're looking to move to is we're trying to ensure that the personal support workers, in this case, the PSWs, this can be expanded to any member of your health team and your staff as needed. But we want to ensure that when a PSW presents their credentials vis-a-vis their e-verifications, the information on that is updated in live and in real time constantly. This is the real benefit by enabling the holder to immediately verify the data registry and making sure that all the data is actually legitimately and secured. So for example, the issuer is the authority that issues the credential. So example, the training company, i.e. a PSW program. The holder is the person that graduated from that program. If they need to verify using the badge, the e-verification that the issuer is authentic, the badge communicates with the issuer and they ping that person did for, in real terms, graduate when they said they did from that school specific program. The verifier is the employer. So the verifier is the one that needs to have everything verified. That's why we're all here. How do we maintain verification? And how do we make sure that the personal support worker or the staff member, because again, this can be extended to other staff, that the staff member is who they say they are and that the degree is legitimate? Well, that's the benefit of this system. it enables you to ping using an API from your verifying point of view to the holder to the education in exact time. The holder will be able to show by instantaneously communicating with their college that they are in fact a graduate from the program on that day, and it's permanently locked into their e-wallet. The benefit of the e-wallet especially is that it's going to start, we're trying to comply with a proposed federal regulation on data protection. It's the Digital Charter Implementation Act, which is really moving towards ensuring that all Canadians have control over their e-credentials or their their credentials online. And the way that the wallet works is you cannot, oh, thank you. You cannot, the only people that can access this wallet are the people that hold them. So if, for example, you need to verify someone that's coming into your team and you're looking to verify them, the e-verification wallet, which will appear, and there's a shot on this after, it will show as a digital badge with all the verification, and it's all done in real time. And the only person that can control that is the actual holder. They're able to share documentation, but this takes a lot of risk off the HR person or the company, because they're just confirming in real time that that individual has the qualifications that they need. If they need to have copies of that documentation, it can be transferred to the employer at the permission of the holder. This is good for all Canadians long term because it's going to make sure that our data is housed individually with us individually. So it's also aligning, as the screen shows here, to a global movement towards digital identity laws. This is a growing issue on our planet with regards to how we are managing and how we're protecting our own data. One of the things that we don't realize is that when you even do sometimes simple transactions, or you're going and you're transferring data, a lot of information can be transferred. Other companies from the States, for example, use different methods, but there's no guarantee that that's an e-wallet that that person is controlling. So there's a lot of risk, and that we really want to move towards this direction. So we're really asking employers to be increasingly aware of the Credivera solution as you're going to see it. This is an example of what the badge will look like. It shows that this is a registered personal support worker with the association. They have their insurance, they have a clear criminal record check, they have a clear expiration date for that check, and it can verify any and all credentials that your company may require, should you wish them to embed that into their systems. So as we move towards an e-verification and an e-credentialing system, there's going to be some questions. And one of the questions that we're getting is, as we're moving away from the physical badge. So the OPSWA badge is still going to be around. We're not abandoning it. But for employers, we're asking employers to start looking towards the e-credential model to ensure that the person is who they say they are. We're really strongly encouraging it. The best protection that we think is out there right now. Lastly, it really will connect your company and the existing communities to the existing ecosystem, which we're currently in the process of robustly expanding across Canada and Ontario. And you can see here, if you look at the issuers, these are the holders. So the holders is, for example, the person, your candidate, you're the employer on this side. The candidates are the individuals, the PSWs themselves, who are going to have absolute and sole control over their own information. And all that you're going to be doing is confirming with the PSW, do they have, for example, membership with the OPSRA? Yes. Background check? Yes. Do they have the certifying body, the health supportive? That's going to go on there. Yes. Licensing board, whatever. And especially their PSW education. We're starting to build networks with all the schools to ensure that the PSW education curriculums are embedded into the wallet so that there will be real-time verification of any standards or any graduates to make sure that the ability to create fraudulent certificates is remedied. As a result, it basically creates a one-stop shop to verify all the credentials in one place. And this can be accessed by any employer, facility, hospital, specialty org, sole practitioner. Now, is the next screen? Okay, so we'll leave it there. The one thing we want to talk about, and if we can go back to the previous screen, if you don't mind. Thank you. The one thing that we wanted to draw to your attention is that the question that we often get is, how much does it cost for me as I'm a provider, I'm looking to hire personal support workers. How much is it going to cost for me to use this Credivera this new e-verification system? The answer is nothing. The Ontario PSW Association and the Canadian Support Workers Association have embedded this cost into the memberships. All you need to have is an ability to scan a QR code and to see the verification on screen, on their e-verificate, on their e-wallets rather. New terminology. Documentation that you need from that e-wallet can be transferred to the employer with permission of the PSW, as is currently done. Just instead of paper, it can be swiped and sent over. The employer doesn't need to have any sort of systems embedded into to accommodate this system in any way. We're really trying to build awareness that this is what, to be more aware of what this change is and how it will impact you. If you wish to work more closely with Credit Bureau, that can be arranged. But the benefit of the rationale for this morning's discussion is how this is going to work and how can employers onboard. And the answer is onboarding. You can onboard at any time you want. When a PSW brings in their e-verification badge, you can have it seen right there. You verify it, and if you want copies of them, they will send them to you. It's the same process, but those copies that you'll get from this point forward will be verified, but they have to come through the Credivera badge and the e-wallet badge also to be certified. So just lastly, we'll talk a little bit about the association. The reason why we're asking, we want to strongly encourage employers, of course, to hire members of the Ontario PSW Association. We're a certifier in Ontario, along with we're a systems partner of the Health Supportive Providers Oversight Authority. And we are working together to ensure that the public is better protected. Our job is to protect the PSW, which we do by ensuring that every one of our members has a $2 million professional liability, including the required $50,000 abuse coverage. We have unlimited helplines. There's whistleblower protection if there's issues, for example, for anyone that involve the association. And we include a free annual police check. Annual police checks are extremely important for the association. We're the only professional association in Ontario, health-wise, that does annual background checks. We did this in response to the Elizabeth Wetlaufer inquiry, which saw a nurse with a criminal history do criminal acts, and the authorities were not aware of it because they did not conduct criminal background checks. We do not do that. We do them every year. Employment and education, we offer lots of different courses. We are rapidly expanding the specialty and specialization of the personal support workers, which has make them a far more flexible member of any interprofessional health team. Sponsoring network, employment support, we always help our members find support, and we help employers find PSWs. It works both ways. And for the members, it's retail travel discounts, and there's a bunch of other members, and we encourage our members to join and to explore those savings and discounts, which we're expanding daily. So I think that is the end. So we're up to questions. I went through that in 20 minutes, so I apologize that I may have spoken quickly, but I'm happy to answer any questions that arise, if any. I don't see our questions, so. Oh, I'm seeing hands. Okay, I'm seeing here. We can answer this presentation. Now, we could probably have this presentation posted on the website. I will look into having that done. But we can have this information sent to any employer that wishes to have it. It just might be a bit of a data issue because of the size of the recording. But if anyone is interested in getting access to this again, please just email the association, which we can put in the chat, the email for that, of course. So there we go. Thank you so much. So if you have any questions regarding we really want to encourage people to be aware of the e-verification badge. It is a new change. It is a bit of a different approach to how we do it, and we hope that employers, if you have any questions, that you don't hesitate to come forward. And I think. Excellent question. Vulnerable sector checks are going to be embedded into the e-verification wallet, and we are exploring doing that. But vulnerable sector searches, what we're going to be doing is asking people that if you're a member of the association and you have a criminal and you have a vulnerable sector search, and if you upload it to the association, to your e-wallet, it'll be locked in on your e-wallet that search has been performed. So a few different so a few different ways to I'll answer the next question. How do we encourage our staff to join? Honestly, there's a lot of different ways. We're not we try not to be heavy-handed with making or encouraging people to join the association, but we would really ask that the if you're interested in having your staff to join, have them contact the association, or you can simply make it a recommendation when you're doing hiring, simply because, which is where I'll get to the next part of it. How will this work with the HSCPOA? Excellent question. So the e-verification wallet is going to have a credential on there to show that they have or have not registered with the HSCPOA. Just for the benefit, it's the Health Support Care Providers Oversight Authority, which is the new voluntary registry that's for personal support workers. It's a registration mechanism designed to ensure that those members, those people that are working in our system, the public system, have some accountability. And as a result, we are going to be we are a systems partner of the HESCAPOA. That's the acronym pronounced in our world. And the ability of being a systems partner is that we will be working in tandem with the government to make sure that there is PSW certification right across Ontario. And that's why we're encouraging employers to make sure that you look to see if this person has a badge. And we just a word to the wise, we've seen such an increase in fraudulent certifications in the last little while that we really are trying to encourage employers to reach out to us. We're happy to support you in any way. And personal support workers who want to join, always reach out to the association. That is our job, is to advocate, ensure you're protected, and offer every support that we can. So again, this will be presented. It's obviously not going to be a full hour, and that's fine, but we will definitely be holding another version of this presentation, probably regularly going forward, just to make sure that partners and our systems partners can all understand the importance of moving in this direction and the increased ability to protect. Oh, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, yeah, this is the problem. So joining an association or a union or anything cannot necessarily guarantee employment, but we would encourage you. So the question was, we have members that are, we will talk about this question offline, if that's all right, Maria, because this is an issue that we deal with. It's sometimes you got to find that right employer, and that can be an issue, and we understand. So the part of the ops is actually trying to support individuals trying to find that ideal employer. That's not really what the point of this session is this morning. The point of the session this morning is trying to make sure that we have employers and persons aware that this is a new system that we really encourage everyone to use. So again, this will be posted on our YouTube channel. It'll be posted online. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to the association. And I really want to thank everyone for coming this morning. Unless I'm missing questions, I think we're good. Okay, thank you so much for coming, everyone.